All right, so you're ready to dive into the world of parrots.
Buckle up because we're about to explore what it really takes to create a parrot paradise right in your living room.
We're talking more than just a cage and a bowl of seeds, right?
Way more. It's about understanding these incredibly intelligent creatures and catering to their needs.
And today we're getting some expert advice from Samantha Keela's Parrot Parenting and the A to Z ebook on parrot care from parrottrainers.com.
We'll unpack some common misconceptions and share practical tips to make your feathery friend feel right at home.
Yeah, because let's be real, a lot of us, myself included, might have made a few rookie mistakes when we first brought our parrots home. Like, remember that first cage you picked out?
Oh, the cage. It's amazing how much thought goes into choosing a TV, but that cage, sometimes it's an afterthought.
I know, right? I totally fell for the one with the fancy little swing and the bright blue bars. It looked so fun.
It's the classic trap. We get swayed by aesthetics, but forget about the practical needs of our parrot. And believe me, their idea of a dream home is probably quite different from ours.
Samantha actually mentions in her book how people often spend more time researching a new phone than a parrot's cage.
Which is kind of ironic considering a cage is their whole world.
It's true. So let's talk about those practical needs. What's actually important when choosing a cage?
First and foremost, size matters, but not necessarily how you might think.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Explain.
Wider is always better than taller. Parrots need that horizontal space to move around, flap their wings, mimic their natural behaviors.
So those cute little round cages that are so popular.
Not ideal. They might look aesthetically pleasing, but imagine living in a circular room with no corners.
That would mess with my sense of space.
Exactly. Corners provide a sense of security for parrots, a place to retreat when they feel stressed or threatened. It's in their DNA. In the wild, a corner in a tree hollow would mean protection.
It's like having their own little safe space.
Exactly. And speaking of safety, this is where things get really important.
And this is where we emphasize that terrifying story Samantha tells about her budgie, Matcha.
Oh, Matcha's great escape. Yes.
Yeah.
Every parrot owner's worst nightmare.
She talks about how Matcha managed to slip out an open window, sending her on a frantic chase down a ravine.
It really highlights why creating a secure environment is so crucial. And it's about more than just having a sturdy cage.
Right. It's about thinking about all those potential escape routes and hazards within our homes.
Window screens are a must, obviously.
Yeah.
And secure locks on doors and windows.
Oh, and Samantha has a great tip about those. She sticks bird-shaped stickers on her windows.
Oh, smart. To prevent those mid-flight collisions.
Okay, we've got the parrot palace set up, but now it's time to talk about what's on the menu. I mean, I always pictured parrots munching on sunflower seeds all day long.
Right, the classic image. It's like they're synonymous with those little black and white seeds.
Exactly. So, you can imagine my surprise when I started diving into the world of parrot nutrition and realized that an all-seed diet is kind of a recipe for disaster.
It's true. Seeds might seem like the obvious choice, but they're actually pretty high in fat and lacking in essential nutrients.
Really? So, what's the big deal with seeds? They seem harmless enough.
Well, think of it this way. Imagine if you only ate French fries. Sure, you'd get your fill of carbs and fat, but you'd be missing out on a whole lot of other good stuff your body needs.
That's a pretty convincing analogy.
It's all about balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And parrots need a variety of nutrients to thrive, just like us. Samantha actually compares a seed-heavy diet to the obesity epidemic we see in humans.
Wow, I never thought about it that way.
It makes sense, though, when you consider that our domesticated parrots aren't exactly flying miles each day like their wild counterparts.
Right, they're not exactly burning off those seed calories.
Exactly. And this is where those, shall we say, less glamorous pellets come into play.
Pellets. Okay, those don't exactly scream delicious.
I know.
Oh.
They might not look as appetizing as a bowl full of colorful seeds, but they're specifically formulated to provide parrots with the balanced nutrition they need.
So it's like the difference between eating a balanced meal and snacking on junk food all day.
Exactly. And this actually reminds me of what happened to Samantha's first budgie, Matcha. She was devastated when Matcha developed liver disease, which she attributes to years of a seed-only diet.
Oh no, that's heartbreaking. But it really highlights how important this is.
It does. And the tricky part is, parrots, like us, are creatures of habit. They develop preferences, even if those preferences aren't the healthiest.
So how do you convince a seed-loving parrot to embrace the world of pellets?
Well, you've got options. You can take a gradual approach or go cold turkey.
Okay, let's break it down. What does a gradual transition look like?
So basically, you're slowly introducing the pellets into their diet and making them more appealing. You can start by mixing a small amount of pellets with their regular seed mix, gradually increasing the ratio of pellets to seeds over time.
Kind of like sneaking veggies into a smoothie.
Exactly. It's all about making it a seamless transition. And there are other tricks too, like hand-feeding pellets as a special treat, or mixing them with fresh fruits and veggies to make them more appealing.
I like that. Make it a party in their food bowl.
Right. And Samantha also found that her budgies were more open to trying new foods, like chop, for instance, when they saw their flock mates doing the same.
Oh, that's interesting. Like a little bit of peer pressure can go a long way.
It's true.
So when would you recommend going cold turkey with the pellets?
It's definitely a more drastic approach, but it can be effective for some parrots.
Yeah.
Basically, you remove the seeds entirely and offer only pellets.
Wow, that's a big change. So how do you know if it's working?
Well, this is where it gets a little less glamorous, but you're going to want to pay close attention to their droppings.
Droppings, really? That's how we gauge their dietary success.
I know, not the most pleasant topic, but trust me, a parrot's droppings can tell you a lot about their health.
Okay, so we're talking parrot poop. What exactly are we looking for here?
Well, you want to see those droppings change as your parrot adjusts to the pellets. So they might become smaller, less frequent, and the color might shift a bit. It's all part of the process.
So like lighter or darker, what kind of color changes should raise a red flag?
Well, if you notice any drastic changes, like if the droppings become very runny or discolored, that's definitely a sign to consult with your avian vet.
It's like they're giving us a little window into their digestive system.
Exactly. And speaking of things we need to be mindful of, let's talk about those hidden dangers lurking in our homes. I mean, a houseplant is a houseplant, right?
That's what I thought. But as it turns out, our homes are filled with things that can be toxic to parrots.
It's true. Things we don't even think twice about.
Samantha actually points out that our domesticated parrots haven't evolved alongside the many plants and products we have in our homes. So they don't have those same instincts about what's safe to nibble on.
Right. It's like they're navigating a whole new world of potential hazards. A wild parrot in the Amazon wouldn't encounter a Dickenbachia plant, for example.
Right. So it wouldn't have developed an instinct to avoid it. It's up to us to keep them safe.
Exactly. And there are so many common household items that can be toxic to parrots. Avocado is a big one.
Oh yeah, avocado. I love it, but it's a no-go for birds.
Definitely not. It contains a toxin called persin, which can be really harmful to parrots.
And what about houseplants? Are there any we should be particularly wary of?
Oh, tons. Azaleas, holly, lilies. These are all beautiful plants that can be dangerous for our feathered friends.
It's like a minefield of toxins. I'm starting to feel a little paranoid.
I know, right? But don't panic. The key is to do your research, err on the side of caution, and if you're ever unsure about something, just keep it out of reach.
Solid advice. And speaking of things we might not realize are harmful, Samantha talks about grit, which I always thought was essential for birds.
Oh, the grit myth. Yeah, it's a common misconception. While some bird species do need grit to help them digest their food, parrots are not one of them.
Really? I had no idea. So that little dish of grit I bought for my budgie is totally unnecessary.
Exactly. In fact, it can actually be harmful. Parrots have incredibly powerful gizzards that can grind down their food just fine without any help from grit.
Wow, you learn something new every day. It's amazing how much our understanding of parrot care has evolved over the years.
It really has. And on that note, let's shift gears to something that is incredibly beneficial for parrots and has become quite popular in the parrot world: chop.
Chop, yes, I've heard about this. It's like the latest craze in parrot cuisine.
It kind of is, but for good reason. Chop is basically a finely chopped mix of healthy ingredients, veggies, fruits, grains, even some nuts and seeds. It's all about providing variety and mimicking what they would naturally eat in the wild.
And Samantha's birds absolutely love it. She says it's not just about nutrition, but also about enrichment. It keeps them entertained and engaged during mealtime.
Absolutely. And it's a win-win for parrot owners, too. You can make big batches of chop at a time and freeze it so it's ready to go.
Meal prepping for parrots. Love it. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've talked about creating a safe and stimulating environment, debunked some common myths about parrot diet, and even learned a thing or two about parrot poop.
We've definitely had a crash course in parrot care.
We have. But most importantly, I hope our listeners have gained a deeper appreciation for these intelligent and amazing creatures.
We do. Because at the end of the day, it's all about providing our parrots with the happiest, healthiest lives possible.
Absolutely. Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. A huge thank you to our listeners for joining us today.
Until next time.
And remember, keep those parrots chirping.